Hello, I'm HopeThompson, and the topic I chose was developing vocabulary for upper elementary and middle school students. The article I chose was from the educational journal called Voices from the Middle. And the title of the article was How Can Teachers Increase Classroom Use of Academic Vocabulary? So in the article, it claims that academic vocabulary can be increased in the classroom quite effectively. It gave several sources that supported their claim. One source in particular was a study by the U.S. Department of Education in 2007. This study provided evidence to support that students in a 4th and 8th grade have very little to no growth in their reading. And if you remember in our last few meetings, we talked about the 4th grade slump, where if children are already behind in their reading, it gets even worse during the 4th grade period. The title is called The 4th Grade Slump. But this is mostly due to a lack of comprehension, which results in low reading achievement, which in turn leads to low standardized testing scores. The article went on to offer a potential solution to increasing academic vocabulary understanding by using a few active learning methods. The first method was a word wall. A word wall provides visual support for all learners. It's important that when creating a word wall, the words are chosen by the students, words that they can actually use, not just words for display. Word walls can be arranged in multiple ways, such as alphabetically, or common themes, or even units of study. The article shared a word wall that was arranged in 3 different tiers. The first tier was basic everyday words. The second tier was generalized academic words, and the third tier was content-specific words for different subjects. The discussions about where the words were placed gave the students an opportunity to own the word. Prompts for an entry and exit slips were shown to be a good way to help the students pay closer attention to those words they placed on the word walls. So an example of the entry slip prompt would be to have the students write down the words X, Y, and Z from the word wall, and with a partner, write down everything they think they know about the word. And for the exit slip prompt, a teacher could have them write down one thing they learned during that lesson and use at least 2 of the words from the word wall in their response. The second method the article talked about was called Morphology, which is the study of word structures, including roots, bases, and affixes. An example of a morphology is to start with a prefix such as re or un, and the students come up with words that start with that prefix during a 10-minute brainstorm. Students suggest words, and if they're properly used with the prefix, the teacher adds the words to the growing list. Another example of a morphology is where students are given slips of paper that has something in common with 2 other students' slip of paper. They will form a group with the common slips, and together they will come up with words from the commonality. They will then teach a different group about the words and the meanings. That activity not only broadens their vocabulary knowledge without explicit instruction of each individual word, but it also impacts their reading comprehension. A variation of morphology is a word sort. An example of a word sort involves students receiving or making a set of slips of paper, each with a term related to the Civil War. The students then sorted their terms into categories such as people, places, events, or even other self-selected categories. This particular word sort that was shown in the article included military words. So by asking the students to justify his category choice for the word, the teacher is able to assess the student's understanding of an individual word. So the last method they talked about was a vocabulary journal. This method allows the students to work with vocabulary words using an introduce, define, discuss, and apply sequence. An example of a vocabulary journal, they would have a term or word, they would find the definition, they would give a synonym for the word and an antonym for the word. They would also have a rate of understanding of 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they would also place the word in a tier like we did in the first example, the tier 1, 2, or 3. So by using vocabulary journals, students are able to revisit the words, add information about the words as they learn new context for those words. As every page and section of the vocabulary journal grows, the student's word knowledge also grows. So the benefit from this study is shown where the ability to increase vocabulary, knowledge, and comprehension in a social studies class where vocabulary is not a primary measurable learning outcome. What's even better is these methods can be used in nearly any subject and can have some specific content area applications.